Picture this for a second. Every single day, millions of students walk into school carrying these completely invisible backpacks. And we're not talking about backpacks filled with laptops or gym clothes. No, these are incredibly heavy, weighed down with silent anxiety, profound loneliness, deep stress, and fear. And the heartbreaking part, a lot of these students, they never even ask for help. Some of them just stop talking. Others stop learning. And tragically, some lose hope altogether. So welcome to this explainer. Today we are going to dive right into a critical issue that touches literally all of our communities, the student mental health crisis. We're going to look inside these invisible backpacks to truly understand the massive weight our kids are carrying. But more importantly, we're going to explore the real, actionable solutions that schools, families, and students are actually putting into practice right now. Okay, let's start with Section 1, the invisible backpack, a global crisis. The sheer scale of what we're facing right now is honestly pretty staggering, because whether a student is sitting in a classroom in New York or halfway across the world in India, there is a very real chance that they're silently struggling. Just look at the recent survey data from the CDC in the US. A massive 44% of high school girls report feeling persistently sad or hopeless. And even more alarming than that, 30% have seriously considered suicide. So this isn't just typical teenage angst. We are looking at a true, undeniable emergency here. And like I said, this is a truly global issue. Over in India, the data shows that 1 in 4 students faces depression or severe stress. But here's the part that will really shock you. Less than 1% of them receive medical support. Less than 1%. Why? Well, it mostly comes down to this intense societal stigma. The open, honest conversations about mental health just aren't happening, leaving these kids to struggle completely in the dark. Moving on to Section 2. What's inside the backpack? Unpacking the drivers of the crisis. To really grasp this crisis, we have to look at when the pressure actually begins. And it's probably earlier than you think. By age 14, so right around 8th grade, half of all mental health problems are already established in a person. Then students hit high school, which, let's be honest, has become this extreme academic and social pressure cooker. And by the time they reach college, the pressure doesn't just vanish. It actually morphs into massive anxiety spikes and deep disillusionment. So getting in there early, before they even hit high school, is absolutely crucial. Now, one of the biggest drivers of this early pressure is toxic comparison. Actually, in India, there's this cultural phenomenon known as Sharmajika beta, which basically translates to the neighbor's perfect kid who you are constantly being compared to. There's a huge difference between finding healthy inspiration and living in a toxic environment where kids are treated like trophies. It totally ignores the fact that every single student has a different starting line and is running their own unique race. Now, combine that intense academic pressure with modern environments. The digital age is basically a weapon of mass distraction. You've got social media creating these endless dopamine loops, feeding a need for instant gratification and driving this intense fear of missing out, not to mention cyberbullying. And when these students finally do put their phones away, they're often hit with physical sensory overload. I mean, think about a loud, chaotic school lunchroom. For a socially anxious student, a crowded cafeteria isn't a relaxing break. It is an absolute nightmare. All right, Section 3, the happiness formula, the weight of unrealistic expectations. Let's look at the college experience for a minute through some fascinating insights from a psychologist named Dr. Tim Bono. He came up with this brilliantly simple concept called the happiness formula. Basically, it goes like this. Happiness equals what we have divided by what we want, meaning our expectations. A college admissions tour might paint this flawless picture of the next 4 years, getting a student super hyped about what they're going to have. But if that denominator, what they expect, is totally overinflated by social media and marketing promises, they're setting themselves up for a huge crash. When they inevitably face, a roommate conflict or a really tough class, that gap between reality and their unrealistic expectations leads directly to massive anxiety. Which brings us to Section 4, rethinking school support, from disconnect to safe havens. So how do we fix this? How can schools actively adapt to support these kids and prevent burnout? Well, one incredible, tangible solution popping up is the SEL room, social emotional learning rooms. Take Lawrence Middle School, for example. In a lot of districts, extra rooms are just used for detention, but here they've innovated. They use SEL rooms as safe, quiet spaces for students to literally escape the noise, do a craft, and just decompress. It's a sanctuary. It proves that sometimes the absolute best way to support a student is just giving them a quiet place to breathe. But obviously, schools can't do it all alone. Parents and teachers have to act as a unified team by recognizing the warning signs.
We really need to watch out for things like sudden isolation or withdrawal, a kid staying in bed for abnormally long periods, engaging in highly risky behavior, or, and this is a big one, extreme perfectionism and a total obsession with grades. When a child starts showing these signs, that is our cue to step in and offer support before things spiral out of control. And when we do step in, having a real system in place is everything. Look at the brilliant mechanics of Oregon's student-led House Bill 2191. Here's how it works. Step 1, a student feels overwhelmed and just asks for a break. Step 2, the parent calls the school to excuse a mental health day. Step 3, the school actually records that absence specifically for mental health, treating it exactly like a physical sick day. And step 4, if those absences become frequent, it automatically triggers a counselor check-in. It completely normalizes taking a break and builds in this safety net to catch struggling kids before it's too late. It's a total game changer.
Finally, Section 5, CPR for the mind, changing our cultural approach. To make systems like Oregon's the standard everywhere, our whole cultural approach to mental health needs a massive shift. Think about it. If you break your arm, you don't hide it, right? You go straight to a doctor because they have the expertise to fix it. We absolutely must normalize seeking therapy for mental distress in the exact same way. Our brains need care just like our bodies do, and we've got to strip away all of the stigma attached to asking for that help. I want to share this incredibly provocative thought from student mental health advocate Haley Hardcastle. She asks, if you know CPR for a physical crisis, do you know it for a mental one? I mean, wow, think about that. Most of us are trained in some kind of basic physical first aid. But what about emotional literacy? This challenges every single one of us to realize the absolute necessity of mental health first aid in our schools. We should all have a toolkit ready to help a friend, a student, or a coworker who's going through a crisis. Because ultimately, life is a long-distance race. You have to pace yourself. If you just sprint right out of the gate at the very beginning, you're going to burn out. Intentionally taking a break, pacing yourself, and checking in with your own mind, that's the true secret to long-term success, well-being, and actually flourishing. It is perfectly okay to not be okay, and it is definitely okay to just take a moment to rest.
Which brings us to one final, lingering question for you to chew on. Are you prepared to protect a child's mind? We've unpacked that invisible backpack today, but now it's up to all of us, parents, teachers, administrators, and just society in general, to help carry that weight. We all have a role to play in championing mental health safety in our own communities. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this explainer. Look after each other, look out for the kids in your life, and I will see you next time.